Hey guys, it's Maggie and I am back today, and today's video I'm basically bringing you a vlog. I had asked on Instagram what you guys wanted to see on the channel, and a lot of you had said basically everyday life, like what's going on with you, what are you doing? So I am bringing you the 4th of July. I did a little bit of filming because I was doing probably my most favorite thing that day. So yeah, I'm going to share that with you. So if you know me, and I think a lot of you guys do, I love the garden. I love going outside, picking things from my garden, weeding. I don't like weeding, that's a lie. But I like working in the garden as long as it's not weeding, which I've had to do a lot of lately. It's very annoying, but it is my favorite thing. It's where I find the most peace. And it's kind of funny, I was thinking about this, in that when you think of gardening and like the height of gardening, it's always synonymous with summertime. And in my mind, it is not synonymous with summertime. It is synonymous, that's a hard word to keep saying. I equate it to fall because that's when you're really getting your harvest from your vegetables. It's when your flowers are like going crazy, especially since the heat kind of lowers a bit. The heat has been, it's been really hot and humid here. And the heat started early this year. So we've been dealing with that. But yeah, I feel like every time I just get so excited about my garden, I'm like, I just want to skip ahead. I want to skip through the summer. Like, let's just skip this part. Let's get to the fall. Because that's when things get really exciting. And we're doing a pumpkin patch this year. Like, we're really trying. It's kind of funny. We planted a lot of seeds, assuming that we would get very little germination because I had basically last fall gone out and purchased a bunch of different types of fancy pumpkins because I wanted to save the seeds from them. And I know that you can get some mixtures and whatnot, but I thought this is coming from a fairly large farm. It's probably unlikely that they were cross-pollinated if they're doing large sections of the same type of pumpkin. That was my hope, at least. Who knows? But anyway, we left these pumpkins outside. Well, they were in our dining room for a while, but we put them outside when it was cold out, so they froze a couple times, and then, you know, they kind of start melting and whatnot. So I'm thinking, these seeds are probably not good. We cracked open a couple pumpkins and they had already germinated and there were plants inside of the pumpkins. And then I took all the seeds and put it in our pumpkin patch. I think every single one germinated. Every last one. So I'm excited for this fall. I'm very excited. I'm hoping that I can get my nephew over here, and my sister-in-law, and all of them so we can like take pictures by pumpkins. I think that would be so cool. Anyways, I want to skip summer, although this is my second favorite time of year because there is a lot going on in the garden, but it's just like that beginning time where you're just starting to get your first few ripe tomatoes, your first cucumbers. At least I am. I'm definitely behind on some of this stuff because I know some of you have been picking cucumbers for, you know, a while now. I just picked my first cucumber today. So, yeah. Anyways, I figured let me do a vlog. Let's enjoy the summer. Let's not try to skip over it completely. And I'll share with you what we did on the 4th of July. So one of my favorite things this time of year is picking wild berries. And we do have a number of different types on our property. And yes, I've done my research on them to know which ones are going to kill me and which ones I can eat, and I have eaten enough of them to know that they're not going to kill me at this point, although maybe I'm slowly being poisoned, who knows. But because it's been so warm, I got up really early on the 4th of July, and I actually got the dogs already. I got Dixie and Holly ready. I just can't imagine. They both, Dixie and Holly, have just not stopped shedding. They have had a permanent fur coat, floofy coat. I can't imagine going outside. So we didn't stay out too long with them. But I like bringing them out early before it gets too hot. But yeah, I went berry picking early in the morning. And what I do is I will get my long jeans on, I get my rubber boots on, I get long sleeves on, and then I put on one gardening glove so I could use that one to, push the bushes to the side because they're all spiky. They all have thorns. And then I could pick with my right hand, and you can't really wear gloves when you're doing this, when you're picking little tiny berries, and they are small. I think my favorite thing though is when I go, all over our property, it's almost 11 acres. There are so many different wildflowers, and yes, some are invasive, but there's so many different ones. There's yarrow, and it's like this kind of like a spicy, not sweet, it's like a spicy scent. So I will actually collect yarrow, cut it, let it dry, and you can use it as decor. It basically looks the same dry as it does living. But I just love walking around, investigating everything, looking at everything. But of course, I've got to go pretty deep into the bushes. Usually what I collect is black raspberries, wild black raspberries. They're very tiny, and they're usually along the edges of woods. But sometimes if you go a little bit further in, you'll find some pretty good bushes. So I have to go exploring pretty deep in there. And I do go along our creek because there's some that kind of overhang the creek, and it's easier to get to them if you're in the creek than if you're outside of the creek. So it's helpful to have tall rubber boots on. The funny thing though is because I am a small person, I have small feet, so my boots are small. That includes their height apparently. They adjust the height with them too, I guess, so they're not going over your knee. But surprisingly, our creek was higher than I thought it would be because upstream it's pretty dry. In fact, completely dried out. So I was kind of surprised that lower in the creek there was some water, and it was going to go over my boots. So I had to turn myself around and be like, nope, we're not doing this. I did not want to fill my boots with water because it takes forever to dry those things out. So I kind of had to look in other areas for the black raspberries. We do have wild blackberries on the property, but from my understanding, they're really not the best to eat. So I do not. Honestly though, the trip that I took on the 4th of July wasn't that successful. I did get some. I got a good little collection, and recently I've really been liking oatmeal with a little bit of brown sugar and then some berries. And I have frozen blueberries just, in our freezer, but I wanted some fresh berries, so that's what I did. And they're good. They do have a lot of seeds in them, but it comes with the territory. Anyways, I'm hoping that more ripen up because they did just start ripening and turning black. But we have way more wineberry bushes. I love wineberries. I think that they're a little bit more sour. They're bigger, so you don't have to collect quite as many to get the same effect. And they're this beautiful, like, jewel red color. Gorgeous, ruby red. That's what they look like. Although they are just starting to open. I actually just saw a couple this morning on my walk that were opening and really getting that red color in. So I will definitely be exploring again soon, and I'll be collecting a lot more berries. But I do like to just freeze them up and save them, and then I can throw them in my oatmeal in the microwave, and it's perfect. And then, of course, after I was done doing my berry hunting, I went into the garden, which I'm really proud of myself this year. I've been working really hard. I really spent a lot of time researching this winter so I could best learn how to grow things, and I'm continuing to do so. It's definitely like a learn as you go sort of thing. And I've just been working really hard on that. So I'm proud of myself for that, and just the amount of physical work that I've put into it. The great thing about Zach is that he has a lot of the manpower behind the garden, whereas I'm more of the planner and planter. But like when it comes to bags of soil, like I'm clearly not picking it up, throwing it over my shoulder and taking care of it. But I have been working hard getting down in the dirt, weeding and stuff. Like I said, there's been a whole lot of that. But yeah, I have so many tomatoes. You guys would not believe how many tomato plants that I have. But I really wanted to do a lot of like canning and salsas this year. So I got a couple of different varieties of paste tomatoes, which tend to have less seeds and more of the what you want for a sauce. It's just easier. Although I've made sauces out of other tomatoes too, it's just, you know, you got to use a lot more of them. But I have San Marzano and Amish paste, Jersey Devil, cream sausage, number of ones. And then I just got this one from Baker Creek that was called Black Strawberry. And so I have a ton of tomatoes on that plant, and I'm just waiting for them to ripen because I know they're going to be really, really pretty. So I'll have to show you that in an upcoming video because they are not ripe yet, but my hope is that they taste good. That's the most important. I also saved seeds from my green beans last year, and replanted a whole bunch more of them. So hopefully we'll get more green beans. And the funny thing is, we froze some of them last year, like I blanched and froze them, and then some I canned. I much more prefer the frozen than the canned ones. I think that the frozen ones kept their texture way more. I don't know what it was about canning, but they kind of like, I don't know, the flavor wasn't as good. It was kind of like floppy. I don't know. I didn't really like it. I think that we'll probably can a few this year just because they're supposed to. I don't even know if I want to do that though, because I guess that's supposed to keep them longer and they can lose flavor being frozen, but I didn't notice that. Like, we've been eating green beans that were frozen last summer. Like, I still have one more bag and they're delicious. And we went to the store and I bought some green beans, some frozen green beans. They were not the same. And you could tell that they were left on the plant too long. They like had the hard seeds, the hard beans in there. So it was disappointing. And I was like, man, we have to grow a lot more. We have to grow tons of green beans this year. And then I have a couple of other types of beans that we're growing as well, but they're going to be a shelled bean. So we'll see how they turn out. It was honestly really hard getting them growing, all the beans, because they kept rotting. But I think I learned my method of just pushing them into the soil slightly and then putting hay over it. I got almost 100% germination doing that. So yeah. And then the other cool thing was that we had so many sunflowers self-seed. Plus, I planted sunflowers myself, so I think we're gonna have a lot. And I was totally not planning this while I was out there in the garden. I just love looking at everything. And I went over to where I grew my carrots, which I have attempted carrots in previous years, but this year by far was the best. And I pulled a carrot out just to see where it was at, to see if it was time, and it was time. And then I pulled another one, and another, and another, and before I knew it, I had a whole fistful, like a whole armful, really, of carrots. So I was not planning on having to deal with them, but I did. I had to go process them, and I was just going to blanch and freeze them too. So I did that, and I cut them all up how I wanted them and threw them in the boiling water and then ice water and got them on cookie trays to freeze. So that way, if you do that, you kind of spread them all out and you freeze them. Then they freeze separately and you can put them into bags and they'll be loose in the bag rather than having like a solid block of carrots in a freezer bag. So, but I wound up just really, I did not have time to do that, but I did it anyway because we were going to go to our friend Kevin's house that night, just to celebrate and hang out. And of course, we let him know far too late the night before that we were going to come over for dinner. And I was like, Zach, I told you to let him know we were coming over, in advance so he knew, and he could prepare for us. But anyways, I wound up cooking some different dishes to bring over, and I marinated some salmon so he could cook it on the grill because it's so much better that way. But I made a salad completely from the garden, made out of cabbage, kale, nasturtium leaves. I even brought some of the nasturtium flowers with as like a garnish. Carrots, banana peppers, and then I had an Anaheim pepper that actually fell off of the plant because I was looking at it and I knocked it off. So I de-seeded it so it wouldn't be too hot and put that in there, although it was still kind of hot. I also made some rolls. I have a bread maker, and what I do is I'll have the bread maker make the dough for me and let it rise because it just has the perfect temperature in it to do it. And then I will take it out of the bread maker and bake it in the oven rather than bake it in the bread maker. I don't know why. It's easier that way. Plus I can shape, I don't have to have a loaf of bread. I can have individual rolls. So I did that. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and I roasted carrots. These carrots were unfortunately from the grocery store, not my garden, because I had to use them up. I had them for a little bit of time. So yeah, I did like a honey garlic roasted carrot. It was good. It was good. So we had dinner at our friend's house and we played frisbee. We brought Holly along with, so she was very happy. She was definitely our best behaved dog because she just listens the best trained. So she had a great time too. And I kept being told, I know Kevin's gonna watch this video, that I was pretty good at throwing the frisbee, and I told him and Zach the story. When I was young, I must have been 5 or 6 years old. I was at my mom's house with my brother, and my brother and I were playing frisbee in the backyard. Mind you, my brother is 8 years older than me, and it was condos. So, our neighbor, their house was basically, we were playing in their backyard too. And I remember going to throw the frisbee, and instead of throwing it straight, I held on to the frisbee too long, and it went right through her window, and I broke her window. And I was generally known as the angel child, and my brother was not the angel child. So he got blamed for it, and I did it, and I just went along with it and didn't say anything, and nobody believed that little Maggie could have broken that window. But ever since, I've been paranoid about breaking people's windows. So I learned to throw a frisbee nice and straight. So there you go. But we had a really good time. And of course, there's fireworks in the background. And Holly actually was watching them go up and explode. So she was having a great time. I don't know, she seemed to like them. She seemed very interested, not bothered by the noise at all. And Nanners actually seems to be getting better because I had her outside last night and it started thundering and she was okay. She wasn't freaking out. So hopefully we're improving there because when she was younger, she never had issues with noise. It was more in the last couple of years that she's really kind of gotten bad with that. So anyways, that's what we did on the 4th of July. It was just a very, well, I say laid back, but I actually did a lot. I did a lot of stuff, and I was so tired by the end of the night. But it was a good dinner. It was a healthy dinner. It was really healthy. Our dog had fun. The other 3, of course, were here. But it was just nice, and kept making me think, man, oh man, you think you're excited about the garden now. Making your salad and collecting carrots and whatnot, just wait for the fall. Just wait for the fall because it's going to be even better. So yeah, that's what was happening early this week. And I'll keep you guys updated on any more garden stuff because I'm sure there will be more to share. But yeah, I hope that you guys had a really lovely week and just a great time and you're feeling great. And I'll see you in the next. Bye guys.